Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the program. So for our second discussion of the morning, we're going to delve into a topic that touches on a lot of aspects of our lives, mental health and mindfulness. So in our fast-paced world these days, where pressure to keep up on something can be overwhelming, it is quite crucial for us to take a breather, stop for a while, and reflect on how we're actually doing both mentally and emotionally.
Yes, indeed, Paul. Mental health is about maintaining a state of well-being where we feel balanced, we're also resilient and capable of managing life's daily stresses. And mindfulness, I mean, this has been a thing for a while. This is not only a thing, actually, it can be a lifestyle. And it is also a powerful tool that can help us navigate these stresses with greater clarity and also calm.
Indeed, and this morning, joining us, we have a truly inspiring guest. She has carved out an incredible career for herself, from modeling, TV personality, but she's also an advocate for the environment, mindfulness, and mental health. Without any further ado, please welcome public figure and activist Nadya Hutagalung. Good morning, Mama.
Good morning, Nadia.
Thank you for having me.
So you've done so many things in your career, but in the mid-90s, if I'm not mistaken, you became an environmental activist, and you have since been and still are today.
Yeah.
And you actually mentioned prior to our discussion that there's an interesting connection between what you do as an activist and mindfulness. Could you share a little with us in regards to that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say mindfulness per se, but I would say the way I like to look at it is the deep interconnection and interrelation between inner well-being and the well-being of our planet.
Okay.
And because I've been environmentalist for so long, I know where we're headed. I know where we're headed as a global community, what our planet is going to look like very soon, and in fact we are already struggling with such things. I know that the next most important thing to have as a human are the tools of inner resilience to be able to deal with the external reality that we're all going to be facing, or we are currently facing as well. And so on top of that, to be able to move from a place of apathy
Yes.
to a place of empathy, right? So apathy, you sit in apathy sometimes because it hurts to care, right? And to move into empathy, meaning, and then into action, means you need to have those tools to be able to deal with the stuff that's hard, the challenges that we come across every day. So to me, to be able to be a successful change maker or to be able to create impact in any field, you need those tools of well-being.
And what are the tools of well-being that you've been practicing for the past few years?
Well, for me, I'm definitely more aware of my emotions. So understanding our emotions, understanding that we're not just okay, we're not just, I'm good, I'm not feeling great. We have this whole spectrum of emotions, and that's what makes us human, right? So to deny that full spectrum of emotions it can be unhealthy. So I'm a huge advocate of really speaking how I'm feeling, how other people are feeling, understanding what's going on with their inner worlds, and working through that, sitting with those hard emotions.
Yes.
And after being through several groups, and I'm on the board of different organizations, some that are focusing on leadership, well-being, some that are focusing on well-being in schools, I understand that it's so important to have these conversations. And the more you have these conversations, the more at ease people are around these topics.
Yes. And how did your journey begin? Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just curious because I think each person's journey is different, right? I mean, you've transitioned, as Paul mentioned earlier, career-wise as well, and you're actually also here in Jakarta to do a sound bath workshop as well. How does your journey begin? In like you're suddenly more aware of your feelings and
the mind?
Yes.
So I've been studying and practicing Buddhism and facilitating Buddhist classes for about 18 years. So to me, Buddhism is not, I mean, you can look at some aspects of it as a religion, but it is really a philosophy and it is science of the mind.
Yes.
So it's really understanding our minds.
Yes.
And to me, that's what's been super interesting, because a lot of the way that we get triggered or respond to things is simply because of the way that we project and perceive and put our expectations onto things. So that, again, is in our mind.
Yes.
So we tend to create our own suffering.
So why do you know, if we zoom out a little bit, why do you feel that there are so many mental health issues that people are having to deal with this day? I mean, it could be many factors. The pandemic could be one of them. But is it just because in the prior generation we didn't recognize some of these things? Or is it just the world becoming just a harder place to navigate and that it's causing so much more mental anguish on all of us having to face now a lot of these different mental health issues that we're currently seeing?
Yeah, I really do think it's a combination of factors. We have obviously technology that is creating this great disconnect. We are really lacking in human connection. That deep, I see you, you know, I really see you and I hear you kind of connection. And that's missing on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
Our need for speed, our need to rush and you know, do 500 million things, you know, it doesn't help that as well. I think the education systems could be where there could be more support in bringing awareness to schools, to kids, to teachers, to parents around understanding their emotions and how to regulate their emotions and how to regulate their nervous systems. Because we've all been through, well, majority of us have been through some kind of traumatic event in our life.
Oh, yes.
Then with COVID on top of that, then of course, then that expands and exacerbates that as well, right? So if we don't know how to regulate our nervous system, the way that we react and respond to the world comes from a place of a dysregulated nervous system, which is reactive and doesn't put a pause between stimulus and reaction.
Is meditation the key to create that gap?
Yes, meditation is the key, I think, because when you learn to meditate, when you first sit down on a mat to meditate, and I'm not a great meditator.
I'm not a great meditator.
I'll be very honest with you. You know, I have my prayers and practices that I do every morning and every night, but time, you know, I need to meditate more, which is why I love facilitating sound baths, because that I incorporate in that. But yes, when you learn to meditate, you learn that the time between the thoughts and distractions over time can expand.
Yes.
Right? So that space where you're creating a little bit more of focus and awareness expands over time. And then you realize in real life how that translates is because when somebody does something or says something that triggers you, you can actually put a pause the same way you can when you meditate. So that's one of the many great benefits. And if you look at anger, for example, right? Something happens. If you get angry without putting that pause, you get angry, you react. That other person gets angry, and then it creates the whole cascade of events. Whereas if one party has the ability to step back and say, let me just catch my breath for a second.
I noticed that you inhale and exhale.
Let me just count to 10. You know, the tendency for things to sort of simmer down is much greater.
It is.
And that benefits relationships, you know, in every situation.
Yes.
With kids, with parents, in a work situation. Yeah.
Agree.
Great.
Yeah, and also you mentioned about education. It's very important to educate. You know, whether it's in a bigger system, government, through schools, or even within families, right? And I guess the easiest way is through families. How do you deal with your children, for example? So basically to instill these tools that are going to be useful not only for their current lives, but also for the future. They become a more awake and aware human being.
I think, you know, what I often do with my youngest, my boys are bigger in they're out in the world. But with my youngest, you know, we often have conversations around situations that have happened, whether there have been incidents with her friends, or things that happen while we're together, and we'll sort of discuss it. We'll be like, okay, so why do you think that person reacted that way? Could there be something happening in their life that made them react this way? Is there a way that we can find compassion for them because they're acting this way because of X, Y, and Z?
Right.
So I really encourage her to think past what's most immediately obvious, and we dig it a little bit deeper into the whys, the hows, and then oh yeah, if that's what's going on in their lives, then maybe we need to be a little bit softer with them.
But does that mean that, because when you talk about anger, right?
Yeah.
Like I had a false understanding of anger before, that anger had to be avoided. But then I realized, wait a minute, if anger is avoided, then I'm suppressing the anger, and that's also not good, right?
Yes.
Where do we get the balance when it comes to anger?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the anger manifests as a physical symptom that is warning you about something, right? So it's valid, right? But what you can do then is transform it. You can say, I am feeling anger. I am feeling angry. But then what can I do about this? It's what you do about the anger and how you transform it that matters.
Yeah.
You can't say I'm not.
That's
I'm
supposed to not feel the...
Yeah, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. That doesn't work because it is part of what makes us who we are.
Yes.
But then going, okay, it's not going to be beneficial if I react this way. What is the most useful way to transform the situation and my emotions?
So obviously mindfulness is not just about having a peaceful and sort of more mindful within ourselves, but there's day-to-day practices. I mean, there's mindful eating. What sort of day-to-day activities do you feel is important to being a mindful self all around?
I would say for myself, the way we get up and start the day. I do a lot better when I start my day mindfully. And that means that, that can just mean, okay, on a day when I don't have a packed schedule, what it means is I get up slowly, if I can, I journal. There's a great journal called, I think it's called the 5-minute journal. I mean, it's a 5-minute commitment.
Yes.
And it basically asks you 5 things that you're grateful for, and then three other questions, and it's the same every day. Right? So you have this routine, you have this practice of gratitude first thing in the morning. Then, for me, I have my tea, I do my prayers and my practices. I do, if I can, I'll do, I'll squeeze in 15 minutes of yoga or Pilates. And if it's a luxury and I don't have anything, I'll do an hour.
Yeah.
But it's about just, even in their busy lives, it's about just doing a few little things on a regular basis, and that just shifts the way that you engage with the world. For me, human connection and contact is a really important way of being mindful. Being mindful of the people around you, how they're feeling, what's going on for them, being actually curious, actually listening, and that's and trying to do that with equanimity. So across the board, no matter who these people are, right, to you, or with respect to you, it doesn't matter, And I think that's something that we're greatly missing, and it's something that technology and AI will never replace.
Yes.
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 So the more that we can foster those instances of connection, the better off we'll be.
Yeah.
Most of us just get up and can't wait to start our day. We're not actually taking the time to do some of these things, taking our time, doing things with meaning.
And one of the things that, is advised for us to avoid with our morning routine is immediately grab your phone and start scrolling, right? Yeah, and you're here for a sound bath workshop, right, Nadia?
I'm not here for sound bath workshop. I'm actually here because I'm celebrating my birthday and my dad's birthday.
Oh my goodness, happy birthday or happy belated birthday.
Thank you, belated birthday.
Belated birthday.
Thank you. It's a birthday year.
Oh.
It's a big number, so I'm celebrating the whole year. Yeah, so I'm here for that and
Yeah.
to spend time with the family.
Yes.
And just so happens that while I'm here, I'm running 2 sound baths. Yeah.
Yes. What is sound baths?
So a sound bath is where I use different instruments that are specifically tuned to particular frequencies. And so they're like crystal bowls, chimes, gongs, and various other instruments. And how we're about 70 to 80% water.
Yes.
Right? So sound travels about 4 times faster through water than it does through other matter.
Yeah.
And so if you think about our bodies, right, we don't end at our skin. We are cellular beings. We're atoms and neurons.
Yes.
And we're constantly changing and evolving, right? I think we change an arm's worth of ourselves on a cellular level every week.
Oh, wow.
So how do you know, there's zero permanence in our body, right? So we're
Yes.
constantly changing and sort of, so the instruments at the particular sounds and frequencies engage with our body, which is also vibrating at a particular frequency.
Yes.
And so when we're in dissonance, which means we're not in a good resonance, the instruments can engage with ourselves and bring us back into resonance.
Yes.
And so it was something that I came across, and it was intuitively I said to somebody, I said, you know, I think I want to be in the space of sound healing, whether it's for myself or to bring it to others or to to sell these tools, because going back to where we started this conversation, having the tools of being able to regulate your own nervous system.
Yes.
And this is something that we're all going to need. And I ordered a few instruments for myself. They were a huge part of my own healing.
Yeah. Also, you can do it to yourself.
Well, of course, if I
With a
find
singing
the
bowl.
sound,
Yeah.
the sound
It's gonna resonate through you as well.
Yeah, penetrating through me.
Yeah.
And so I had a medical emergency about 3 years ago.
Right.
And this was a huge part of my own healing. So it worked for myself, and then I went, I'm very science-based, so I really wanted to study the science of it rather than it being woo-woo.
Woo-woo, yes, exactly.
So I went and studied the science of it and really tried to understand it, got certified in Reiki and a few other things as well.
Yes.
And then it just sort of expanded. It became not just for me, but for friends, and then friends of friends, and then now my sound baths are always sold out. So
Yeah.
As Marissa found out the hard way.
I couldn't even get into her class. I'm like, yeah, you're on the waiting list, but okay, that's fine.
So you've got 2 sessions coming up then.
Yeah.
one we've already
One
had.
already done, one
and-
coming. All right. Well, good luck. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank
We had more
you.
time to chat with you.
Yes,
Very
thank you.
insightful indeed. And enjoy the rest of your time here.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank
you, Nadia.
Thanks so much.
All right, we're going to take a short break here on the program. We still have a couple more segments to go. Sports and entertainment coming your way after we return from this short break. Stay with us.